Hi, this is Rebecca, and it's Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday. I'm going to throw myself back to when I first started studying metaphysics and how it changed the way I view everything. When I first found out that the inner world is controlling the outer world, in that if I imagine something that I really, really, really had a burning desire to have happen in my life, and I felt like I'd already gotten it, it would show up. And I was very, very receptive to this way of thinking. I don't think I had a lot of blocks. Maybe it was the way I grew up. I wasn't pressured to do anything in particular. I grew up in a time where women had to figure out how to make their lives interesting because we didn't have a lot of choices. We could get married, we could have some kind of career. I went to a teacher's college out in the Berkshires, and I figured out I did not want to be a teacher at that time of my life. And we could be secretaries. The secretaries that I knew were almost as important and knowledgeable about what they were doing for the usually men they were working for, because the men were the ones that were running the show. And it made life actually kind of fun back then when men were men and women were women, and we got to interact in a way that we don't interact anymore. It's gone. High romance is gone. But, everything keeps changing. We get other things to work on as we move along in the three-dimensional world. We live in a three-dimensional world, but it's not real. It's an illusion. We create it with our consciousness and we figure that out. We have more fun here because we become the driver of the vehicle. Your body is like a vehicle, a car that you're driving around. It's not going to last forever. It might even wear out. And then you get rid of it. You move on. You go to another dimension where things are maybe really good. If you've been doing some good work on yourself, you just might attract something even better. Remember when Jesus said, "My Father's house has many mansions?" And he told those guys that were on the cross beside him, "I'm going to prepare a place for you." And then he also said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." I always thought that was pretty profound. And, there was a guy who did a workshop called Radical Forgiveness who used that saying, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," because most humans that are locked in the three-dimensional world and reacting to everything and being full of negative emotion, they don't know what they're doing. They don't realize they're poisoning themselves. They don't realize that they live in their own universe. You are the center of your universe. Like my old friend Joseph used to say to me, he was one of my metaphysical teachers. He would say, "Rebecca, when you go fly away, the airplane is in you. You are not in the airplane." And it took me a long time to figure out what the heck is he talking about? Well, the concept of the airplane, the experience of the airplane is in me. And it can be whatever I want it to be. And I used to do experiments to see, if I was in a good mood, I'd have a great flight. I'd meet the right people and crew members to have really uplifting conversations with, because I'm all about talking to other people about what they know. I've told you before, I used to ask people, "What's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you?" And I used to get some interesting answers. One day, a flight attendant I was working with told me, "Well, I grew up in the Midwest," she said, "way out in the boondocks in this big house. And my mother would go shopping and leave me and my siblings alone. And we were little, we weren't that big, but we would be told to go up into the attic where there was a ghost that took care of us." And I said, "Well, was it a real ghost?" And she said, "Oh, yes." And I thought that was a pretty interesting story. But we used to talk about things like that as crew. And I loved that, because you meet people from all over the world. I would go have lunch with, my flying partners in Japan that were Japanese, that would tell me stories about UFOs in Japan and different things that happened over there. All kinds of fascinating things are happening all over the world. And if you're a curious person, You can find out about them. Recently, I met a young man near where I live, and we had a great conversation. We talked for 4 hours about UFOs and unusual experiences that we've both had. And we were just so glad that we could connect like that and share information. And you just never know when you're going to have that big aha moment. You never know when you're going to realize that you're in the driver's seat. You don't have to be a victim. There's a lot of victim mentality out there right now. People want to blame everyone else for their misery. We're in control of our own lives, and we can always, always, always recreate ourselves. You probably need someone to guide you. You need a coach. You need to study. You need to take it seriously. Why do so few people have any interest in these incredibly uplifting, motivating teachings that these great mystics have brought to us over the centuries? There's always been mystics in our presence that are writing books and, starting groups and sharing their information with people, but you need to seek it out. You need to have a passion for it if you want to get unstuck. Why would you want to stay stuck in those lower realms of negative emotions when you can lift yourself up to the fifth dimension and feel and experience solutions? If you feel trapped or you feel like we're living in desperate times or, everything is going to hell, it will for you. But if you get yourself in that higher consciousness where you're expecting only good things to happen, they will happen for you. I've proven that over and over again. You can live you can live with another person and they can be experiencing life in one way. And then you can be experiencing it in a whole other way. That's why it was very hard for me to stay married. Unfortunately, my husbands would kind of get frustrated, angry, jealous because things didn't bother me the way they did them. Because I did have this spiritual awakening thing happen in my 20s, which freed me from a lot of this craziness. It just doesn't affect me because I realize if you want to live like that, you're going to make yourself sick, maybe. You're going to be not feeling good, not having good experiences. Things might not go well for you. You might have accidents. I mean, I've proven your greatest fears can come upon you. I manifested cancer by having a terrible fear of it. I manifested an appendicitis attack when I was unable to deal with a lot of negativity around me from other people. And it poisoned my body because I wasn't forgiving. I mean, you don't even realize you have to radically forgive some people for their craziness because it will make you sick if you let it poison you. You're only hurting yourself. And if you can't do that, you need to figure out a way out or you will be lifted out of a bad situation. I've seen that happen over and over again, where things just start to transpire in a way that you're not there anymore, or they're not there anymore. And that's the way it works. But it's all about elevating your consciousness in a way that you can lift yourself above it. One of the best teachings I've ever come across was Mary Baker Eddy's book, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. She's got the whole enchilada in there where she really explains how to reverse your thought and not be just a mortal anymore, but connect to your divine consciousness, your Christ consciousness, where you can release all the negativity, surrender, heal, manifest. It's all there. But you have to have an appetite for these things, like I say. And if you don't, find a teacher like me that can help you get a little guidance. Because, many times I would meet with a spiritual teacher and just one session and the big aha would happen. Everything would change, everything. People who have spiritual power can be very, very effective in your life. But you need to be clever enough to realize that you might need to talk to someone to get yourself to the next level. Don't stay stuck. It's ridiculous. We're living in the time of the Great Awakening. So let's all try to wake up as much as we can so that we can bring it on and have a much better experience in this three-dimensional world. This is the time that they've always talked about, the shift. There's a reset going on all over the planet. It's not just happening in one country, it's global. So be part of it. Learn how to use your mind to get above the problems, and you will get the solutions. I guarantee it, it's a given.